Hello everybody and welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about the series that I still have on high priority for the end of 2023. So one thing about coming back after an entire summer away is that you realize that there's actually not that much time left in the year, which I don't know. For me, time always feels like it's flying by, and doubly so since I had kids. I don't know who else feels that way, but cataloging and tracking the things that you want to do and the things that you have accomplished always have a way of making you feel like the time is slipping by, because at least for me, I'm trying to meet those goals, and then sometimes I am and sometimes I'm not. I'm like, oh my gosh, how much time is there left? But regardless, I already have my reads planned for September. I am reading the books that I will likely be reading now until the end of the month. And so effectively, there are only 3 reading months left in the year. And I made a bunch of goals for myself at the beginning of the year, and I'm okay if I don't meet all those goals because they're just for fun. They're ways to try to get me to read the things that I'm interested in, the things that I have on my shelf. But I would like to try at least to close out some of those goals before the end of the year. So what I wanted to talk about in this video are the series that I either marked as ongoing series at the beginning of the year or high priority series at the beginning of 2023. And I've done a good job of checking out most of those high priority series, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So why don't we cover those first? So I just have my reading journal here with me because I have the high priority series and the ongoing series written out in that. But at the beginning of 2023, when I was, or I guess really it was at the end of 2022, when I was looking ahead to this reading year, the things that were most on my mind, the things that I most wanted to read, I had identified 7 series that I wanted to pick up. And of those 7 series, I have started 5 of them and I have completed 1 of them. So the series that I started and completed this year was the Natural History of Dragons series by Marie Brennan, which should not be surprising to anyone who's been here for any length of time because I have done nothing but gush about these books. This series, The Natural History of Dragons, follows a dragon naturalist, Lady Trent, and her chronicling her life and how she went from someone who was obsessed to dragons to one of the foremost dragon experts in the world. So I really enjoyed that series, and I listened to it by audio. The audiobooks were excellent, and I sped through them. So I read that, started it, completed it this year. The other series that I have started, I have only read 1 book from each of them. So 2 of them I started in January, so I really have no excuse. The first was Books of Babel, so I read Senlin Ascends in January, and unfortunately was a little bit disappointed by that one, and that's probably why I haven't gone back to that series. I had waffled about whether or not I was going to continue, but I think that from talking to mostly to Evie and Alan, I think that some of the things that I did like about book 1 are things that are more present in book 2. So I'm hoping that maybe book 1 was just like a one-off bad experience, just like timing or the fact that I was reading so many books that month, who knows? But I am hopeful that the rest of the series might appeal to me a little bit more. So I am going to still try to do book 2 and then reassess my feelings at that time. The other series that I started in January was the, The Night's Watch. Is that what the sub-series is called for Discworld? The ones that follow the guards, the City Watch. There we go, City Watch, the City Watch series. And the first book was Guards, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It's probably my favorite Discworld book. I enjoyed reading it so much. I loved everything about it. The plot, the characters, the setup, the exploration, like everything was so good. It was funny. And I have no idea why I haven't continued. I really don't. I could have easily picked one of these up by audio. I don't own any of these books, but they're always available at the library. Like the library, because Terry Pratchett is so popular, they have ebooks, they have physical books. I could definitely pick this book up, and I really have no excuse. So feel free to shame me for not having read past book 1 in that series. The next series that I started is the Regante series by David Gemmell. And in fairness, I just started it this month. So I read the first book in September. I'll talk a little bit more about that in my September wrap-up. And I have plans to read book 2 in November. I'm reading it with friends and they wanted to take a little pause, like just a month between books so that they didn't feel overwhelmed or anything like that. So I'll be reading book 2 in November and I guess we'll see. Maybe I'll finish this out. Maybe I'll kind of speed through the next 3 and finish this out before the end of the year, or it'll be one that hopefully I will finish in early 2024. But Regante is one book out of the 4 in the series, so hopefully that won't be too bad to try to finish off. Then we have the Chorus of Dragons series. So this is a series that I started over the summer. This was one of the BookTube Chooses My TBR videos or selections that I did for that video. And so I will talk a little bit about this when I do that wrap up, but I did read the first book in the series and I just don't own any of the other books. And it's a book that I don't know why, but when I read books that are a little more, where the setup is a little more difficult, where the books are a little harder to read, they're a little bit more confusing. Like these books are a little purposefully confusing. They are trying to kind of throw you in and make you feel like you're lost in the story and you have to pick your way out and decide what's real, what's true, what is an unreliable narrator, what's actually happening. And I just like to have the physical book in my hand for doing that. I don't know why. I can easily highlight things on Kindle, but I like to be able to flip back and forth easily between chapters and pages to look at what I've just read. So this is one that I will have to pick up the physical copy for. And I do keep looking for it every time I go out to the bookstore, but I never find it. So I will keep my eyes open. And if not, I will probably pick up the rest of this series like around for my birthday or Christmas and then continue reading it into next year. The 2 series that I have not started, the first one is the Rook and Rose series. And I believe the 3rd and final book just came out within the last couple of months. I just didn't get around to starting this one, and I don't know if I will. I feel like I'm more motivated to finish the things that I have actually started or make headway on the things that I have actually started rather than starting another new series that I have, that I will then have to finish. But I don't know. Part of me also wants to at least start each one of these series since they were the high priority ones for this year. So if you think that I will really like that series and I should not be sitting on it any longer than absolutely necessary, then please let me know. And the last high priority series was Tokyo Ghoul. So this is a manga series and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 4. It looks like it's 14 volumes for the original run. There is a sequel series, but I believe at least I have 14 tick boxes written in here to color in. So I think they're 14 volumes, but it's not the large volumes like 20th Century Boys or Monster. Like those include 2 individual volumes. So it would really be like reading 7 of those. So I plan to read this in October. I would be surprised if I finished it all in October, just given that there's other things that I want to read as well. But I'm hoping to read a good chunk of this in October and then finish it up in November. Andrew really wants me to read Tokyo Ghoul. He has watched the anime and read the manga, and he did it in the reverse order. So he did anime first, manga second. I'm going to do manga first, then anime second, and we're going to see where we fall with that. But it would be nice to be able to watch that anime around this time of year. So I am hopefully going to start and complete that series before too long. But those are the high priority series that I have. The ongoing series, at the beginning of 2023, I had 17 series that were ongoing. So I was in the middle of 17 different fantasy series, and I have only finished 2. My goal for myself by the end of this year was to have finished 8 of those series, and I only have finished 2 of them, and those 2 were Monster, which is a manga series, and The First Law series. So I finished First Law. I had 2 books left to read in First Law, and I finished those right at the beginning of the year. And then Monster, I finished near the beginning of the summer. And I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those left to read. So I did a pretty good job there. There are a few series that I'm really close to finishing. I'm also really close to finishing 20th Century Boys. So I know that one will be done by the end of the year. And then there's a few series where I'm right at the end. So sorry, Pippin's having a dream or something and he's grunting. So if you heard that, then I apologize. But yes, there are a few series where I'm right at the end. So the God King series by Mike Brooks, I'm right at the end of. I have to catch up with the second book in the Bloodsworn saga. I want to read the rest of Nevernight. I know that I have only read one of those 3 books, but I feel like number one, October is going to be a good time to get back to Nevernight. And the first one read so quickly. I can't imagine that the second and the third ones won't as well. So I would really like to finish that series up at this time of the year. Then I also have the second book in David Gemmell's Greek duology. I had wanted to finish that before I started Regante, but then it just didn't fit into the TBR. But I would like to finish that one up by the end of the year. And then I have a YA series called Camelot Rising, which is an Arthurian retelling. And I got the third and final book in that series for Christmas last year. So I would really like to finish that off as well. So that's a good handful of series where I'm right at the end of things. And I feel like if I put in a good, solid effort, I would be able to get through that by the end of the year. So those are that's where I'm sitting with my series right now. The other major priority is to finish Live Ship Traders. So in the book, I have Realm of the Elderlings is in the first position, and I have the whole series put in as one. I don't know where that fits in the camera, but I have it all laid out like that. So, but for the individual trilogy, I need to finish Live Ship Traders. I am going to finish it. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be October because I do have other things that I want to read in October, but it will either be November or December. If I have not read it in November, on December 1st, it will be the first book that I open and read, and I will not read anything else until it is done because I am not getting through 2023 without having finished the Live Ship Traders. And then I guess we'll start this process all over again next year with the Fitz and the Fool series, but I'm hoping I will go through it a little bit more quickly. We'll see what happens. But yes, Live Ship Traders, finishing off Live Ship Traders is number one series priority, but then all of the other series I talked about, I would really like to finish. If of the series I have mentioned, if there are any in particular that you feel like are going to be absolute hits for me, or ones where you're like, I need you to finish this, please read this, please prioritize this, then feel free to let me know. I'm excited for all of these. I'm looking forward to reading all of these and talking about them all and, just getting through some series because there are a bunch that I started this year, and I'm going to have to redo this list in my reading journal at the beginning of next year and see how many I have, before me at that time. But please let me know, have you been doing really well with finishing your series this year? Are there any really high priority series that you want to get to before 2023 comes to a close? I would love to know, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye!